Welcome to Spirit Speaks. I'm your host, Lisa Virtue, and today I have one of our favorite guests back on the show, Nanci Dansion. I am so pleased to be able to welcome her again. Everyone certainly seems to be responding positively to all that she has to share with us. And Nanci and I now have a new idea for you to create a series of shorter videos, just so you can have a nugget here and there to connect in with again. I certainly love talking to Nanci, and apparently all of you like to hear what she has to share as well. So, welcome back to the show, Nanci. I am so thrilled to have you back.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here with you, Lisa. I've missed you.
I missed you too. How have you been doing?
Hanging in. It's a really busy summer. I wrote an essay for the Bigelow Institute essay contest. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I might win.
Oh, how exciting. What was your essay about?
The question that all the essay contestants were supposed to answer is, what is the best evidence that consciousness continues after death of the physical body?
Who better than
I
to
figured that was
answer,
right up my alley.
answer that question? I hope you win too. Oh, wonderful. Is there any way people can read that?
I think the winners' essays are going to be posted on the Bigelow Institute website.
Okay.
If I don't win and if they don't object, I'll turn it into a book.
Awesome. Yay. Just me and I think so many other people just like to eat up anything that you have to share. I'm really pleased with how people have responded to our other two videos. So just so people are aware, if this is the first video you are watching with us, Nanci and I have done 2-hour-long shows. So you can watch the first one by clicking here, which is where Nanci shares the near-death experience she had and what she discovered during that adventure. And the second video, which now you can click here to get to it, Nanci shares our 5 spiritual superpowers that she came to understand from that near-death experience that we have while we're here on Earth. So those are really fun, and be sure to check them out. And if you want to see those and the series that we're about to do and other videos that I share on Spirit Speaks, be sure to click the subscribe button below or in the little corner and hit the little bell icon so that you can be notified when the new ones come up, because you want to get those right away because they're so juicy. All right, so Nanci, let's begin. Today in our first video, I want to talk about your viewpoint from having been on the other side about angels, because I certainly know a lot of people feel they've had experiences with archangels and angels of all kinds in all sorts of different ways. And it's very uplifting for people. So, having been past the veil, what did you see, or what is your opinion on angels and all that's happening in that phenomena?
Well, I don't have an opinion, but what I learned in the afterlife is that angels are way more wonderful than what we think they are.
Ah,
What humans call angels and angel apparitions are actually the souls of people who love us who are in the afterlife.
wow.
And some of them, if they're still in the incarnation stage, they can respond to our prayers for help or for assistance or whatever. And because they love us, will come and help us out. And they might take the form of, an actual loved one that who's died, so that you recognize them. But that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, they take the form of like a wavy light being, or a shiny being. And on the rare occasion, they might look like a traditional angel with wings. Our loved ones who are on angel duty want us to be comfortable with their apparition, with their intervention. And so they will appear to a person in the form that would most comfort that person.
Mm.
So a lot of what people report as after death communications from loved ones, if they see an apparition, I would call an angel visit. And, there are lots of stories, and there are near-death experience stories where someone was saved from tragedy, and even from death, by a mysterious intervener that, may or may not have, appeared physically, but did appear to, enter into the situation and take some action on behalf of the person that they love.
Yeah, I remember seeing some stories where, they say someone, a guy walked down the street out of nowhere and saved me and then walked and disappeared and nobody else, saw him and knew who he
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would call an angel apparition. But I think the most interesting thing about it is that that guy that walked down the street is somebody who knows you and loves you, usually.
Usually.
And, well, there are souls in the afterlife. When we go back into the incarnation phase of the afterlife, in between physical incarnations, we can have a job if we want. And so there are people whose job it is to be on angel duty. And they may not have known you in physical life, but they know you in spiritual life and love you unconditionally. So whether it's, a relative that you've known and loved in physical life, or whether it's another soul on angel duty, whoever it has not been assigned, the job of coming to help you or coming to respond to your prayers. They do it out of pure love. I've got an angel story. Do you want to hear it?
Absolutely. Of course.
It's an unusual one, I think. When I was getting radiation treatments for breast cancer, I'm fair-skinned, so they burned the heck out of my chest. And it was very painful. And toward the end, it was so painful that I really couldn't find a way to get relief, and I won't take painkillers. So what I did instead was I meditated and I asked my parents, to take away the pain. So I was sitting in my slidey chair, I call it. It's a glider, it slides back and forth, and asking my parents, to come and take away the pain. And the next thing I know, there's this ghost dog, tall dog, like maybe a greyhound or something about that size, beside me.
Wow.
Beside my sliding chair. And I could see through it, but it's clearly a dog. And the dog had on a little, those bandanas like cowboys wear in the movies, and the red bandanas they tie around their neck, had on a bandana like that around his head, pushing his ears down. It was tied under his chin. And I looked at that dog and I go, what the heck? And he walked around to the front of my sliding chair and climbed up and sat on my lap.
Oh.
And took all the pain away.
Oh.
And for hours after that, I was trying to figure out, there's something familiar about the dog, but it wasn't a dog I ever had, as a pet.
Yeah.
But there's still something familiar about that dog. And so I started looking through old pictures in my photo albums, and I found the dog. He belonged to a family that my mom used to stay with when she was in college. And, she called the woman Mom Cook. Her last name was Cook. She called her Mom Cook. And so this was Mom Cook's daughter's dog. And when my mother used to take us to visit Mom Cook when we were little kids, I would play with that dog. And I would put scarves around his head like that.
I get it.
That's who my mom sent to bring me peace and comfort.
Wow.
And I call that an angel dog.
I would call that an angel dog for sure. That's amazing. I just to take that reference from something you couldn't even remember, but had that sense that provided joy and comfort for you back when you were young, that your mother would know. And animals tend to bring us joy anyway. So, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah, and it was the fact that it was a dog that I knew when I was a little kid and couldn't remember was to me confirmation that was, been sent by my mother, because she would have known.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else would have.
Now, do you feel like who would that soul have been of the dog?
Well, during my lifetime, the soul was incarnated into this dog, but in terms of who it is in the afterlife, it was obviously somebody that knew and loved my mother and me. But the same souls that incarnate into pets also incarnate into humans and trees and rocks and aliens, and there's just one soul source.
Right.
There's not a separate kind of soul for animals. So my understanding from the afterlife is that people or souls that are kind of new to incarnating onto Earth start out with something smaller than a human, to kind of get used to the environment and to know what to expect. Right. And so they may come and incarnate into a tree or a frog or a rock or anything.
Right.
And then they usually move up into smaller animals. So it's entirely possible that your pet is somebody you know in the afterlife who loves you.
Well, I have had cats. I love cats. And the most recent cat that I had, I connected so deeply with that she felt almost like she was part of my own soul, that's how much we connected. And I've had other cats and who I've connected with a lot, but this one was really special. So I always had this thought of, I wonder what that is. Is she a part of my soul incarnation, or is she, someone I cherish so much on the other side? And of course, I know we're all one, so it gets convoluted in human mind to think of it. But
well, it may have been another soul that agreed to incarnate with you and decided they wanted to be in a cat. I have known cats that reincarnated.
Oh.
Into other cats, but
they reincarnate to come and be with you some more. Is that?
That happened to some friends of mine. I was cat sitting their pet in their house while they were on vacation, and I got to know this cat. And then years later, I met the same cat. It looked completely different, but I knew it was that cat. In her soul.
Yeah, awesome. I did some connecting with my cat after it passed, and some friends did as well, and was like, my friend was asking, are you going to come back and reincarnate to be with Lisa again? And she was like, no, I got other things I'm doing, but I'm like, that's okay. Have fun.
Well, getting back to angels.
Yes.
I also learned in the afterlife that the biblical concept of angels, being archangels and warring angels and angels going to war. This is what I learned in Catholic catechism when I was a kid.
Right.
And angels going to war, and the losing party got cast out into hell. None of that exists. There's only one consciousness, only one soul, and it's source. Source doesn't have any hierarchy within itself. It's like one of its thought forms isn't better or higher level than another thought form. One soul isn't better or higher than another soul. The whole idea of angels and archangels and a whole host, heavenly host, in the afterlife is from human experience. Humans who pass down the oral tradition of those stories in the Bible lived in times when kingdoms were the form of government. That was what they were familiar with. And so humans always project onto God in the afterlife what they see in human life, because they figure it must be the same. So humans who carried forth those oral traditions created a hierarchy, a kingdom in heaven. And in fact, they even called it the kingdom of heaven, in right. Early days of when Christianity was getting started. But those types of beings don't exist. And I think what does exist, the souls in the afterlife who love us, being our angels is a much better way to go, don't you think, than
Mm.
some, you know, warring archangel who, you know, is reputed to
Yes.
have smited his enemies. You know, I don't think I'd want that kind of a creature coming to visit me.
Mm. Yeah, I'll take the ones that are just pure love. Thank you.
Yes.
So just before we wrap up, um, when people are thinking that they're connecting with an archangel, for example, would that be just the manifestation that the soul took that is going to be most meaningful to that person? Would you say that's how it is?
Yes. It could be that, or it could be that that was the way the human interpreted it based on religious beliefs.
Right,
Um, but
right.
again, you
Or
know,
sorry, or even I was just thinking, you said that there's the angels whose job it is to help. Like
yeah.
maybe there's like Archangel Michael is a soul who's decided to help out on Earth, and lots of people interact with him, for example.
Well, like I say, there's no real Archangel Michael, but if that's what will comfort a person calling on
Hmm.
angels, then that's what that loving soul
That's
will take on.
yeah. And ultimately, for me, I feel it's what we need, it's helpful for us, and it's coded in a way that we can best receive what we're asking for, that positive help. So if it makes it easier for us to receive the love, why not?
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you so much, Nanci, for sharing this tidbit with us about angels, and we'll come back again with more topics. So
Okay.
my sincere gratitude, and I look forward to connecting with you next time.
Thank you, Lisa.
And again, if you would like to see more of the interviews with Nanci, please hit the subscribe button and be sure to tune in next time we post another video. Until next time.